Hi, and thank you for watching the Seizure Smart Schools Take Charge of the Facts presentation from the Epilepsy Foundation of Minnesota. Today, we're going to learn about a few key facts about epilepsy. We're going to watch some video clips about different seizure types. We'll learn how you can best help keep somebody safe if they are having a seizure. And then we're going to take a quiz at the end to show off how smart you are about epilepsy and seizures. So raise your hand or raise your finger or something like that if you have heard of the word seizures before. If you have heard of the word seizures. Okay. And now raise your hand if you have heard of the word epilepsy before. Sometimes we see that more kids are likely to know the word seizure more than they know the word epilepsy, but they are pretty well combined together. They have a relationship. So when you have epilepsy, you're going to have seizures more often. So epilepsy fact number 1. Epilepsy is a medical condition in your brain characterized by unprovoked recurrent seizures. So some of those big words that we want to talk about are unprovoked, meaning there's nothing that happens in your brain to start the seizure. They just happen by themselves and there isn't an explanation. And recurrent means that they happen more than once. So you are officially diagnosed with epilepsy when you've had one seizure and tests show that you might have more seizures in the future, or once you've had 2 or more seizures too. So epilepsy fact number 2, you can develop epilepsy at any age. So you can be born with epilepsy, you can develop it when you're 5 days old or 5 months old, 10 years old, 15, 20, 30, 70, 80, 90. It can really happen at any point in your life. And you might not have shown any signs that you were going to develop epilepsy too before that point. So it can really come from nowhere. Epilepsy fact number 3, 1 in every 26 people will develop epilepsy at some point during their lives. So it is way more common than what you might think. Think about your classroom that you're in at school and how many kids there are. A lot of time there's 20 to 30 kids in a classroom. So by averages, one person, or maybe just a little bit less, one of those people in your class might develop epilepsy at some point in their lives. So that's about 60,000 people who have epilepsy in Minnesota and just over 3 million people in the United States, and then maybe 65 million people all across the world. And epilepsy fact number 4, raise your hand or your finger or whatever if you know what the word contagious means. Think about what contagious means. Yes, so something that is contagious can spread from one person to another. So now think in your head or say a few examples out loud. What are some things that you know are contagious? What are some things that can spread from person to person? All right. Some of those things that you might have said that are contagious, the flu, uh, germs, chicken pox, anything like that. Yes, those are contagious. Epilepsy and seizures, though, are not contagious. You can't catch epilepsy from somebody else. And if you're helping somebody who's having a seizure, you're not going to start having a seizure too because you are close to them or you are touching them to help them. Yeah, so epilepsy and seizures are not contagious. Kids who have epilepsy, they didn't do anything wrong to get it, and it's not their fault either. It's just an electrical problem in their brain. So, what are seizures? So, you can see on our diagram here the electrical current that's running through the brain. So, all of our brains, they command everything that we do during the day, whether it's seeing, thinking, tasting, smelling, hearing, moving our body parts, anything like that, speaking too. So there's all of this electrical activity running through our brains, neurons that are passing messages and going from one side to the other. And so a seizure is really simply, you can think of it as maybe an electrical storm in the brain, or there's an overload of electricity, or there's a crash and it has stopped working. Just anything that makes the brain not work like it's supposed to can cause a seizure. So a seizure, though, is going to look different depending on what part of the brain it's happening in. So you can see our brain on the screen lighting up with different colors. If the seizure happens in part of the brain that controls your hearing, you might just have a few seconds of a buzzing or ringing noise in your ears. But if the seizure takes over the entire brain, that could be minutes long of you losing consciousness and falling to the ground and shaking too. So there's lots of different types of seizures based on where in the brain they're occurring. So get an idea in your head, how many different types of seizures do you think there are? Is there just one type? Are there two types or more? So think of a number in your head, maybe say it out loud or write it on a piece of paper so then you can lock in your guess. All right. And there are over 40 different types of seizures. So lots of different types, and it's important to know what type of seizure somebody might be having, because then it can help responders keep them safe, and it can help your doctors to find the best medicine or treatment to help control your seizures. So the first main type of seizure that we're going to talk about is called the focal seizure. So focal seizures, or focused, you can see how those words are similar, just happen in one part of your brain. So they look a little bit different, and we're going to hear Anna tell us about what focal seizures feel like to her.
It's really hard to explain what happens in my seizures, because it's like being in a dream or something. First of all, I get butterflies in my tummy. And then I get this weird feeling, it's like nothing else I know. I can hear people talking around me, but it's like they're slowed down, or they're talking in a different language, because I can't understand them at all. I kind of know there's stuff going on around me, but the world doesn't make any sense anymore. Apparently, sometimes I say funny things that don't make any sense, and if someone tries to ask me a question, then I don't reply. It only lasts about a few minutes, but I feel like it goes on forever. Afterwards, I'm okay, but I usually have a headache and need to go for a rest for a bit. My friends know that it's because of my epilepsy. They help me go and find somewhere quiet or take me back to my dad's.
If someone has epilepsy, this means that they have seizures. Your brain is like a computer that controls your mind and your body. And it does this by sending electrical messages. During a seizure, these electrical messages get mixed up. There are lots of different types of seizure, and every person with epilepsy is affected in a different way. It really depends on what type of seizure you have, but they are all due to your brain's signals getting mixed up for a short time. Find out more about epilepsy.
Okay, so another type of seizure that we'll talk about is called the absence seizure, or absence seizure. And this kind of looks like daydreaming or staring spells. And it's usually just a few seconds long, but somebody can have lots and lots of these seizures throughout the day. So we're going to listen to Ali tell his story about absence seizures.
One type of seizure that I have is called an absence seizure. So I'll be in class or something, and then it's like I've zoned out for a bit. And then I come back to reality again, but I've missed a whole chunk of what's going on. I think it only lasts a couple of seconds, but then sometimes if I'm tired or stressed out, I'll have lots in a row. I'm fine afterwards. I feel okay, but if I don't know what's going on in the lesson, I get really confused and worried that I can't answer the question or whatever. Or I worry that other people will think I'm weird if it happens when we're talking or playing. And in year 3, my teacher thought I was being naughty when actually I couldn't help it at all. That made me so annoyed. Nowadays, my mum and my brother and my best friend know that I get upset if I miss stuff, so they tell me about it afterwards, and that makes me feel lots better.
If someone has epilepsy,
Okay, and now we'll move on to the third type of seizure that we're going to talk about. Is called the Generalized Tonic-Clonic Seizures. And so these seizures always make somebody lose consciousness. So think about, do you know what it means to be unconscious? It's kind of like a sudden deep sleep that you don't have any control over going into or waking up from. So the seizure, you'll lose consciousness and your body might shake too. And these are usually 1 to 3 minutes long, so a little bit longer than the other 2 seizures that we were talking about. But we're going to listen to Jack tell his story about the generalized tonic-clonic seizure.
When I have a seizure, first of all, I get this weird taste in my mouth. I can't describe it properly, but when it happens, I know I'm going to have a seizure. Then, I don't know what happens next. I don't know what is going on around me. And then, I wake up on the floor. I'm really confused and all my arms and legs hurt, and sometimes I've even wet myself, which is so embarrassing. My mum says what actually happens is I fall down and my arms and legs shake a lot, and she can't wake me up. She just has to wait until it's over and check that I'm safe. It only usually lasts a couple of minutes, but afterwards I am so tired I have to sleep for the whole day. I don't like having them at all, and sometimes I get scared, but I know that my family and my teachers and some of my friends know what to do to make sure I'm okay. And I've stopped having so many since I started taking my new medicine.
if someone has epilepsy, this means that they have seizures.
Okay, so what is the best thing that you can do if you know that someone around you is having a seizure? So the very first thing that you should do for any of these seizures is first you need to stay calm and don't panic, and make sure that people around you are staying calm too. But then right after that, you want to find a teacher or the school nurse if it's happening at school, or find an adult or a parent if it's happening at home or somewhere else that you aren't at school. So find an adult right away and tell them what's happening, so then they can help with this response as well to keep this person safe. But some other things that you can do once you've found an adult, for the generalized tonic-clonic seizure, you can try and time the seizure to see how long it's lasting. That way, your doctors know how long they last and they can help get the right treatment of medicine. But then also, if it lasts too long, then it might turn into a dangerous situation. So if you're timing it, then you can know that for sure. Then you want to turn the person on their side. That way, if they have any saliva bubbling up or staying in their mouth, then they don't choke on it and it has somewhere to drain out. Cushion the person's head with a pillow or a sweatshirt or a backpack if you need to. So then you help protect their head. Then you want to keep an open space around them so their body is able to move freely and doesn't bang into anything and they hurt themselves. Then stay with this person until they're fully awake, and make sure that you are a caring friend no matter what. So some things that you should never do during a seizure: you should never panic, should never laugh at them, and then also you should never just stare at them and do nothing. And then you should never put anything in their mouth. Never try and hold them down because their body will be pushing against you and they might hurt themselves trying to do that. It's best to just let them move freely, and then never leave the person by themselves. So if you are with somebody and they're having a seizure, maybe one of you can stay with them and then another person can run and find an adult. So use teamwork to make sure that you don't leave the person by themselves. So now we're going to watch a video that has a lot of the same information that I was already telling you, but it just shows it in a different way because some people learn best by seeing and listening to a video versus my voice too. So this is just another way to learn even more important things about seizures and epilepsy.
Hi, this is Elena. She loves to draw, play dress up with her friends, play with her dog, and oh yeah, she has epilepsy. Oh, what is epilepsy? Well, let's start with the brain. Your brain cells send electrical messages to your body to tell you to move, think, and do things. But when brain cells stop working the way they are supposed to and send too many electrical signals at one time, that's called a seizure. It's like a giant electrical storm. These seizures cause a change in how you see things, how you move, and what you feel. Epilepsy is when a person, like Elena, has one or more seizures over time. Her seizures only last a short while and can look different each time. Here's how it could look when someone is having a seizure. They might stare into space. They may look like they're chewing gum, but they're not. They might be fumbling as if they lost something. They could be wandering around like they are lost. Their whole body might shake. They might say things that don't make any sense. Now that you know what seizures look like, here's what you can do to help someone having a seizure. Stay calm and try to relax. If you have a watch or a phone, try to see how long the seizure lasts. If they fall on the ground, find something soft to rest the person's head on. This protects them from hurting themselves or others. Turn the person on one side so they don't choke. Tell other people around you that this person is having a seizure. Stay with the person until they feel better and ask how you can help. Continue to be calm and cool until the person can answer questions. Be a friend when the seizure is over. If you think you aren't big enough to help, go and find an adult. But wait, there are some things you should never do when someone is having a seizure. Never put anything in the person's mouth, even medicine. Never try to hold the person down. Never leave the person lying on their back. Never make fun of someone who just had a seizure. And remember, epilepsy is an electrical problem in the brain. You can't catch it like a cold, and it doesn't make people like Elena any different from you. Be sure not to make fun of someone with epilepsy. It's not nice, and it's definitely not cool. Having epilepsy is no different than anything else, and your friends shouldn't be treated any differently. If you see anyone being bullied or teased because of their epilepsy, or for any other reason, tell an adult. Always be there for your friend that's being bullied. And now you know all about epilepsy. Thanks to you, kids like Elena will be safer and happier. Let's all take care of each other. This is what being a good friend is all about.
Okay, hope you enjoyed watching that video, but now we are going to play our Are You Seizure Smart quiz. So when I read the question and the answers, you can just picture in your head what answer you're going to choose, and then after a little bit, then I will choose the answer and you'll be able to see if that was the correct answer that you were thinking of, and then we can go through it like that. So what part of the body causes someone to have a seizure? Is it your heart, your brain, or your eyes? So choose one of those answers and maybe say it out loud or keep it in your head so you know. And the correct answer is brain. Yes, it is your brain that causes or causes you to have a seizure. So the next question, can you catch epilepsy from someone else? Yes or no? Can you catch epilepsy from someone else? The answer is no. Yes, epilepsy is not contagious. The next question, how long do most seizures last? Is it 1 second, 10 minutes or longer, or a few seconds to a few minutes? Which one sounds like the best answer? And the correct one is C, a few seconds to a few minutes. Next question, should someone be treated differently because they have epilepsy? Yes or no? Answer is no. You should not treat them any differently. They didn't do anything wrong to get their epilepsy. So, next question, what is something that a kid with epilepsy shouldn't do? Should they not go to school, not play sports, not make friends, or is it D, none of these? Kids with epilepsy can do all of the same things as you. And the correct answer is none of these, right? These kids with epilepsy can do all of the same things as you can. Sometimes they might just need to be a little extra careful. So, next question, what is the first thing that you as a student can do to help someone who is having any type of seizure? Should you find or tell an adult? Should you put a pillow under their head? Or should you point and scream? So, the first thing that you can do, find and tell an adult, put a pillow under their head, or point and scream. The correct answer is find or tell an adult. An adult should know about every seizure that occurs or is happening so they can help keep that student or that child safe. And then you can help that adult with whatever steps they need or ask you to help with. So, next question, once you have told an adult, what seizure response step should you not do to help someone who is having a seizure? Turn them on their side, time the seizure, hold them down, or stay with them. So remember, what should you not do out of these options? The correct answer is hold them down. Yes, you should never hold someone down who's having a seizure. Did you get all those questions right? Congratulations. That means you are seizure smart. And always remember that you can help keep your classmates who live with epilepsy safe. Okay, so thank you so much for listening to this presentation. And I hope you learned a lot of important information. And if you do have any questions, please feel free to email me at my email address there. So thank you again, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.